Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, I am Hafizah Almahda. My student number is 2213042052. Here I will tell you guys about three aspects of the world that will get better in the future. Before that, what do you think will happen in the future? In my opinion, the future will definitely experience an extraordinary advance in several fields, especially the field of technology. In this video, I will talk about food, fashion, and transportation. And for the first, I will talk about food. Russia will become a global food superpower. When experts talk about the coming food security crisis, the date they fixed open in 2030. By then, our numbers will be nudging 9 billion and we will need to be producing 50% more food than we are now. By the middle of that decade, therefore we will either all be starving and fighting wars over resources, or our global food supply will have changed radically. The bitter reality is that it will probably be a mixture of both. Developed countries such as the UK are likely for the most part to have attempted to pull up the drought bridge, increasing national production and reducing our reliance on imports. By the middle of the decade, therefore, we will either all be starving and fighting wars over resources, or our global food supply will have changed radically. The bitter reality is that it will probably be a mixture of both. Developed countries such as the UK are likely, for the most part, to have attempted to pull up the drought bridge, increasing national production and reducing our reliance on imports. In response to increasing prices, some of us may well have reduced our consumption of meat, the raising of which is a notoriously inefficient use of grain. This will probably create a food underclass surviving on a fat-heavy diet, while those with many scarf the protein. The developing world, meanwhile, will work to bridge the food gap by embracing the promise of biotechnology which the middle classes in the developed world will have assumed that they had the luxury to reject. In truth, any of the imported grain that we do consume will come from genetically modified crops. As climate change lies west to the productive fields of southern Europe and North Africa, more water efficient strains of corn, wheat and barley will be pressed into service. Likewise, to the north, Russia will become a global food superpower as the same climate change opens up the once frozen and massive Siberian prairie to food production. The consensus now is that the planet does have the wherewithal to feed that huge number of people. It's just that some people in the West may find the method used to do so unappetizing. And the next, I will talk about transport. There will be more automated cars. It's not difficult to predict how our transport infrastructure will look in 25 years' time. It can take decades to construct a high-speed rail line or a motorway, so we now know what's in store. But there will be radical change in how we think about transport. The technology of information and communication network is changing rapidly, and internet and mobile development are helping make our journey more seamless. Cause at ST Pancras Station or Heathrow Airport, when the infrastructure cannot cope for whatever reason, should become a thing of the past. But this challenge while they might appear trivial, are significant because it's not easy to organize large-scale information systems. The instinct to travel is innate within us, but we will have to do it in a more carbon efficient way. It's hard to be precise. But I think we will be cycling and walking more in crowded urban areas. We may see travelators, which we see in the airports already, and more scooters. There will be more automated cars like the ones Google has recently been testing. These driverless cars will be safer, but when accidents do happen, they may be on the scale of island disasters. Personal jetpacks will, I think, remain a niche choice. And the last, I will talk about fashion. Technology creates smarter clothes. Fashion is such an important part of the way in which we communicate our identity to others. And for a very long time, it's meant dress, the textile garments on our body. But in the coming decades, I think there will be much more emphasis on other manifestations of fashion and different ways of communicating with each other. Different ways of creating a sense of belonging and of making us feel great about ourselves. We are already designing our identities online, manipulating imagery to tell a story about ourselves. Instead of meeting in the street or in a bar and having a conversation and looking at what each other is wearing, we are communicating in some depth through these new channels. With clothing, I think it's possible that we will see a polarization between items that are very practical and those that are very much about display. And maybe these are not things that you own but that you borrow or share. Technology is already being used to create clothing that fits better and is smarter. It is able to transmit a degree of information back to you. This is partly driven by customer demand and the desire to know where clothing comes from. So, we will see tags on garments that tell you where every part of it was made. And some of this, I suspect, will be legislation driven too, for similar reasons, particularly as resources become scarcer and it becomes increasingly important to recognize water and carbon footprints. However, it's not simply an issue of functionally fashions gone through a big cycle in the last 25 years, from being something that was treasured and cherished to being something that felt disposable because of a drop in price. In fact, we have completely changed our relationship towards clothes, and there's a real feeling among designers who I work with that they are trying to work back into their designs an element of emotional content. Okay, maybe that's all from me. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.